Dear friends, glad to meet you all on Feygin Live. It is another stream. It is Monday, July 18th, 1 minute past 10 Kiev time, day 145 with Olexiy Arestovych. Glad to see Olexiy. Good evening, Mark, and dear viewers. We got about 100,000 people watching us, and 17,000 clicked the like button. As usual, time and time again, please share the link and click the like button. Subscribe to Feygin Live, Olexiy Arestovych, and if you're watching that in English, to the privateer station. Make sure the bell is clicked. Alright, let's start. We got a bunch of topics for discussion, including partly due to the day that we missed yesterday. So let's start with the operative situation. Let's look at the map and see what changed during the last almost 48 hours on the front. What happened there? Alright, if not to go by the secret reports, are there ones, the secret ones, available? They are, but they're not available because otherwise it'll be like in the joke, "Dear General, please give me another military secret because I've already spilled the previous one." I cannot even say that I do own these secrets, but I'm guessing, so yeah, still cannot share that. Frankly, Mark, I want to say that we probably have most interesting shows coming after this war is over, then when I'll be able to describe different things that were happening. So, from the events in Dementivka, Kharkov region, our special forces destroyed a group from 140th detachment that originally was specializing in underwater warfare, whatever they're doing there, but we got the commander of the detachment prisoner. I think he's the only one that stayed alive. I don't remember his rank, but the most important thing, he's 1989, born in Zaporozhye. So right now he has a chance to become the fighter for the Legion of Russia. Is he so full of ideas or what? No, he's not, but he's a regular guy, but you know, he'll recover, lay in bed for a while, watch different videos, and perhaps reconsider a few things. Are there many of those that grew up, were born in Ukraine, and then studied in something military, and then now found themselves in Crimea being sent to fight in Ukraine? The head of the southern group, Russian, is one of the few airborne troopers who showed himself well during the first Chechen war as a young commander, and yeah, he was in a bunch of hot spots after, and born in Ukraine. Russian command likes throwing Ukrainians to fight here. Somehow they think Ukraine natives understand the populace better and the sentiment. Maybe there is something to that, but by the way, have you seen the Plivakacha, the duck swims song video clip? There is a Ukrainian-born Russian rapper from Donbass who speaks good Ukrainian, who is creating modern anti-Ukraine songs, pushing, promoting Russian message there, and basically telling that there is a proper Ukraine and improper Ukraine. The right one is the one that supports Putin's regime in Russia. And they're making some pretty good video materials, mostly about things like storming Azov Steel. And we usually remember how we laugh at Russian propaganda because it's dumb. But this one doesn't make it for Russian bureaucrat money. He's making it because he believes it to be this way, I guess. So he's pretty creative. Generally not so, going back to the front, generally not too many things changed. There are just some events. Attempt to move to Bogorodichne. There is some fighting going around it. Valley near Krasnopolia, there is some motion there. That's all directed towards Slavyansk. However, the most interesting part is going in that right 1 o'clock corner near Siversk, where enemy is trying to get to Verkhnekamenska. This is where our troops repelled 3 attacks of Russians, and one of them was actually caught in a fire trap and destroyed mostly. So whatever is happening today, we've got different data, but Russia is saying through their bloggers like Slatkov and others that not everything is so simple, and there are different reasons why we cannot move faster. He says that if Russian artillery was more accurate, the Russian army would win faster. I could not agree with that statement. I just don't see any chances for their victory with that type of war and with that style of war. Let's go south to Belogorovka. They're headbutting with our troops there. And then to the south of Bakhmut, they reported that they cut M03 road. We know that crossing this road doesn't really mean anything right now, because it leads nowhere on the Russian side. If to gauge it in any perspective, they're basically playing the same moves. There's nothing new. And right now, though, they, instead of really attacking, they're basically trying to push us out, because they figured that attacking head forward doesn't really bring any good consequences to it. So in general, these are the signs of some reasonable actions on the front, but nothing really moves as they plan. There are about 30 battalion tactical groups. Generally, they're battle-worthy, but they still can't really advance far enough. Then if we look at the tempo, at the losses, their prognosis is very bad. They're still somewhat preserving the momentum, the forward momentum, but perspectives are very sad. And our HIMARS are hitting them very precise, taking away their restocking capabilities and reinforcement options, both equipment and people. Zaporozhye, nothing there. Minor tactical moves. Avdiivka, they announced that they cut off the road that are used for resupply. Well, in reality, they've been under fire control of Russian Federation for a while, so Avdiivka is being reinforced with other options outside of that road. So all this cutting of roads, even if they have any perspective, it's a very delayed one, remote. So what's interesting, it's day 145, right? The first 100 days at least, they tried to attack Avdiivka region just in the front, up front. So they lost a ton of people, and they could not advance a single meter, and now they're trying to surround it on the south and on the north. But let's see how successful they may be. And then Kherson. This is the same artillery warfare. So in that greenish area or next to it, they have some good hits by our artillery near Novakhovka, near Bereslavl. Our artillery is indeed softening their capability to hold the front. Okay, so these are the main events. We have 283,000-ish people watching us. Good, and please don't forget to subscribe to Alexei's and to my channels and to the Privateer station if you're watching that in English. Let's touch upon connected events. First of all, let's discuss the question of resignation of Venediktov and Bakanov. We cannot omit that. How important are these moves and how connected, how related are they to the quality of work of Ukrainian safety service? Is it connected to any failures of the service? Some people are saying because of a number of traitors in ranks of this organization, that it did play a role in this punishment of its leaders. So first of all, it is difficult to comment on the presidential decisions. Now one needs to either support him or really be skeptical of it, especially when you work for the office of the president. So as for these two, they are not fully resigned yet. They've been removed from their positions because it needs investigation and approval. And also people are saying that he's put another request for voting of the candidacy of Van Beek as the leader of safety service to be removed. It is a very interesting service. It is a powerful one. So there are some great officers that work there, and they are dedicated and work significant achievements. But there are also others who are corrupt, and some of them actually switched to work for the enemy. So these facts happened, right? Yeah, Kulevich, that's one of the recent examples of the ex-SBU Ukraine Safety Service in Crimea. So today I think the court accused him, and he's been detained for 2 months for investigation. And it's not just him. There are numbers of people like that. Now the other question is, how responsible is the head of this organization? Well, somebody needs to answer for that, right? Ukraine Safety Service, as any special service, it is definitely not just a director of it who controls everything. There are so many secrets that can be hidden, so many chains and groups that can masquerade within that organization. So director does not necessarily have full command of all the details. But regardless, Ukraine Safety Service needs to go through a certain cleansing, self-cleansing, and that's what our president also mentioned, that about 600 servicemen from this organization have stayed on the enemy, on the occupied territories, and are working in some capacity with the enemy. So that is definitely a concern. Then sabotage is another big issue. Not the spies, but saboteurs are probably more important. Kim Philby, who was working for Russians while being on the British side, he mentioned that his most successful operations were based on the sabotage, not exactly on other things. He basically created a system in which people who were writing good reports had ways to advance within the service, and people who were working well but they did not write that well, or were actually digging up some issues that the service had, they were being held down. They were not being promoted. So that system was ingenious in a way that he set up. Regarding Irina Venediktova, according to some data from the closed sources, she wants to contest that retirement, that removal, that perhaps there are people trying to influence her position within Ukraine government and trying to put her under the bus. I don't know all the details about her, but I will likely know tomorrow. So anyway, we're democratic country that follows laws. So there are laws and procedures that need to be followed. But anyway, President considered that the tempo of working the cases for traitorship was very slow. The tempo was slow. That even by the words of Venediktova, a couple months ago we had about 12,000 cases, and it did appear that the tempo of that investigation and closure of these cases was very slow. As I mentioned before, that special services are playing a certain tune. They're like bass level sound, which underlines a lot of other work by other agencies. And I've been mentioning that it is a very important backbone structure. And I already have people allergic to my opinion, and I keep pushing it, but it is important to have these services as clear and effective as we can have them. We have over 300,000 people watching us. I still need to ask you this question. Some Telegram channels said that Arestovych is going to work full-time for president. Well, that piece of news is known only to Telegram channels. I am not aware of that news. Secondary, I need to open a very big secret. I don't want to work full-time for the government. The status of advisor gives me enough level of influence, enough on the stage, and a necessary degree of freedom, because full work for government, you want me to be at 8 in the morning up there and be there till late at night? No, that would not be my day. I do not really want to be part of such work, so even if they will want to position me someplace like that, I will actually fight against it, and I kind of doubt they will actually make such an offer. I think a position of advisor is over the head for me, over the top. So yeah, there are some agencies saying that Arestovych is going to get an honorable full-scale position. I'm actually wondering which full-scale honorable position can I be offered. And position of honorable consul to India, I would take that. That would be probably the only honorable position I would agree to that. Secondary is embassy on Mars, but I don't think we have this open yet. So I'd like to stay where I am. Alright, let's go to a different subject that causes a lot of discussions and arguments. Grain negotiations in Istanbul in Turkey. Some of them look pretty realistic. So one of them says that Moscow insists on an agreement that vessels with grain would be able to move through a certain corridor, but in return they want Ukraine to stop any activity in the south, Kherson and these areas. So Gutierrez, the guy from ONU, he did put a couple signals out that he might want to go to Istanbul to work on the agreement, and that causes some people in Ukraine to be nervous about these statements. So they are asking, how possible do you think that is? I cannot imagine how possible it is to go for any peace treaty right now. So, do you think you'd agree to such a position of Moscow? No. Do you think they can promote such an offer? Oh, they can offer anything, and there have been different similar offers before. They want us all to put down arms, to leave them Crimea and Donbass legally, to promise to never join European Union or NATO, and all other funny requests. Yeah, those were public statements. We heard of them. Perhaps there was something behind the scenes that we haven't heard about. No, there was nothing too exclusive. So whatever they discussed about, that's what was in official declarations. What about the grain? I don't exactly know what's happening with grain. And even if I did, I could not have put the news out there. I can discuss when they release these news, but I should not be the one making them. Let's say delicately, I think these fears of our citizens about such agreements are baseless. Alright, got it. Today, July 18th, Russian Business Consulting published that in Kremlin they're looking for other conditions to negotiate with Kiev. Ushakov, ex-ambassador, of course, KGB dude, probably in a general title. He says that Ukraine organization is not maintaining any contact with Russian side, and there is no interest from Kiev to sit down and negotiate. And then, with these statements, do you think we would go and negotiate in the south? Well, but that could be different, right? That would be grain instead of the general. So Ushakov says that negotiations were interrupted after a principal general agreement that organization achieved in Istanbul, and that Ukraine after that withdrew and is not maintaining any connections with Russia, any communications with Russia. For now, he says, there is no relations between us. Last time Ukraine and Russian delegations met in Istanbul in May. And in May, Moscow announced that Ukraine withdrew from all negotiations. So, it looks like this. It appears that they, time after time, keep peddling this topic to maybe revive it, to maybe push it to become alive again, and using negotiation to try to prevent further escalation related to any food supplies, grain, etc. And maybe affect the southern operation with that. So one can understand the logic they're following. They want to fix the status quo, and saying that they don't want to be satisfied with just Crimea, Donbass, and Kherson, but they also might want to put their own military base sometime in Bankovo Street in Kiev, Mark, why do you think about them so badly? What if they're suggesting other things, like Ukraine should not take Vladivostok, maybe Ukraine should stop at Krasnoyarsk? We don't know exact conditions that they're pushing. I don't know. And I frankly don't think they are offering anything like that. I've talked to them for 2 years, and it would be very much in their character to declare some really outwardly demands, after which all of the color of German and British diplomacy would be making very complicated and traumatic decisions to not laugh in their face. Trying to answer it somehow. Dmitry Kozak used to say some really stupid shit that Germans and Brits would snicker behind his back. And our position was we've been laughing in his face. So our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kuleba, reacted to that, by the way. Dmitry Ivanovich, with his delicacy, said, with his, the usual delicacy that he has, put out a statement that, of course, we'll sit down and discuss with you after you suffer a full military defeat. All right, another question. We've been live for 25 minutes. So the question is about inspirations that Arestovych stole all the HIMARS, all the equipment, and I don't know, sold it, drank it, whatever, did something, took it to his country house. I was surprised. I thought this theme would wither away quicker. But there are some agencies and news that are trying to peddle this weird subject. So, as we mentioned before, if there was any proof, any single item of question, like any HIMARS or any howitzer that would show up in anywhere in Middle East or somewhere, as if sold by Ukraine. So, what is Ukraine doing? Do you guys have any official position to stop these rumors? Are there still no basis for any of that? I don't know which equipment else to include in that. And those HIMARS, Javelin, rifles, or anything. Is it being sold, transferred? Do you have any news on that? Yuri Shvets is the pride of Russian military intel, because the stubbornness of this brave person can only be compared to, I'm trying to remember any historic figure who is called Steel, probably Bismarck, an Iron Council. Pentagon had stated 5 times already that we know where the equipment is. Nothing has disappeared. We have a tracking of everything. But Yuri Shvets doesn't give up so easily. He keeps telling stories that equipment is missing. I don't know exactly what is his push, and maybe he feels some civil importance to continue pushing the message that Yermak is a traitor, that Reznikov is incompetent, and Ukraine is a incongruent country who is selling left and right the equipment being sent by our foreign allies. So, and funny, he also has an audience that follows him. I sincerely hope that YouTube is the only way that he gets monetary rewards, because if in case he has other channels of income, perhaps American intel and our intel should be worried about his actual position in this conflict. Thing is, in America, they don't really watch him, they don't even know of him, so it's mostly our domestic audience that are his target. What can I say? I guess if there are people who are watching Arestovych, there are people who are falling for Shvets. We actually invited him to our channel. I did not want to bring it up front, but because he's quite a personality. But he basically refused. He stayed quiet. He stayed mum for that offer. Back in the day, he used to make statements on our. We invited him, and he did speak on our channel. But right now, he's kind of weirdly obsessed with that topic of sale of supported of armaments provided by our allies. So, see, the thing is that you are talking to such a human scum as Arestovych, so that wonderful human Shvets feels it beneath him to talk to you at the moment, because he is making the geopolitical decisions while you and me here, making the aprons with our mugs on it for the users. All right, Yuri Borisovich, Mr. Shvets, you're welcome to come to my channel, but we don't know what you're talking about. We have nothing to confirm your statements. But if you do have any proof, please come. I think he was a very good student in KGB. He doesn't need to provide facts. Intellectuals, they react to facts. Emotional people react to questions. So what he does, he's asking all the proper questions to stir that stuff. Thing is, it does work, but it works on a short term. Mark, it doesn't work on you because you work with facts, but it does work on a group of people who haven't bought our purchase yet, our merchandise yet, who would start crying and say that, oh my god, Yermak is really traitor. All the Zelensky cabinet are traitors to the country. So look, yesterday we had 5 small tactical wins for Ukraine, 5 small tactical losses for Russia. Today immediately there was information dump that Ukrainian soldiers are screaming that they're being forgotten, that Russians are shelling them with phosphor-based weapons, that it is horrible, they need to be saved. Immediately, their relatives and girlfriends and everybody and their brother are on the line sending messages with my hashtag, trying to tell Olexiy, you need to go to presidential office and go save the 4th platoon of the 59th detachment of territorial defense that thinks they may have been shelled and ignored. So I started looking into that, found these people, these detachments, everything is fine. They're warring as usual, fighting with Russians, and of course they have people, they have deceased. Of course the situation is difficult. There are wounded also, but the situation with them being in complete despair and being abandoned, that does not play out. That I cannot confirm that. So on my side, I basically see that every time I hear such incongruent piece of news, it means that somewhere we have big success. Because basically that's what Moscow does. Every time they counter our success with some stupid stuff like that. There was another one. 200 well-armed Wagner private army of Russians got to Poltava region to find HIMARS systems there and destroy them. They're all equipped, they all speak Ukrainian, they all are polite soldiers, and it reached to the proportion that some of our policing structures actually started to look into that and trying to find the roots and find if it is true, which actually caused me a few good laughs this morning. We've pretty quickly extinguished that story, but there was definitely thrown in fake news. So Russian Federation right now is on a plateau, and the characteristic aspects of it is that the increase in psyops, the increase in fake news and information hits on that front. And that's a kind of strategic level where we'll win on this front, we'll do that, and then there is also tactical stuff like Siversk is already taken, our troops are already near Bakhmut. That's all operative crap, not true. And then there are other stories like we captured 1 HIMARS or Ukraine sold 1 HIMARS. And then, of course, there are journalists from the West who publish articles about horrible winter, how awful it will be, that Europe will be freezing over and they will put a moratorium on supplies for Ukraine. Ukraine will not be getting any more ammo and shells, and will all die ugly deaths in absence of electricity. And there'll be massive missile strikes. So, fact is, Russia is already incapable of launching massive missile strikes, and yet they're publishing these things that it will be another massive attack. And they're so contradicting themselves that one moment you can read piece of news that bastard Zelensky does not fire his friend Bekhanov, and then another piece just a little bit later would be that Zelensky is complete incompetent idiot because he fired such a wonderful person. So it's just noise and fake news being peddled by Russia in most cases. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. More information coming from sort of official channels that private military group Wagner is being reinforced by released prisoners from Russia. And that people already see Russian criminals on the front that are being offered to serve in the army instead of serving time in prison. So there are some journalists of note that are writing that on the Russian prisons there are recruiters from FSB recruiters for Wagner private military service, and they're looking for good candidates. They will not use pedophile and some other weaker kind of prison groups, but they'll be looking for murderers. They'll be looking for people who are charged with violent offenses. And the article talks that battle-worthiness capabilities of these private armies starts to suffer because they have now a noticeable percentage of prisoners fighting there. And you did mention before that very often they would also have combatants from Lugansk and Donetsk People Republics, but yet whenever they have a hodgepodge of different troops within it, or different background people, they start losing their battle worthiness. So, and also Putin's cook got an order of a hero of Russia. I want to say that by the end of this war, there'll be only two people who will not have an order of hero of Russia. Would be you and me. I want to address the rumor that there are prisoners fighting on the front. We cannot confirm that. We heard that they've been active trying to source people from Russian prisons, but we have never met them in the cadre military structures. We found some of them in, indeed, Donetsk and Lugansk Republic military, and I would not know, I haven't seen them among Wagner's troops, but they definitely were among Donetsk and Lugansk. So, do you think they're these ex-convicts or and declassified elements alike, are they a good story for Russian army? No, they're not a good story for Russian army. They are not exactly giddy for a fight. Also, if they're really serious criminals, it's not in their honor to serve in any military or to serve the government. So, for the most part, they'd be looking for a simpler organization person who would not mind just, serving for some kind of might, political or military. So I don't know how successful can their scouting be in prison, because every professional criminal will think thrice before joining any of that military adventure. So they would be somebody who are not professional criminals. In this case, whom are we talking about? The ones who hit somebody with an axe and killed, or shot somebody? How many of them are there? And also, having such a fighter in your detachment doesn't really improve the quality of it, indeed. And they already are losing quality in their army. So Russia is already running out of some of their last reserve. It doesn't mean I want to say that these are the last ones. It just there won't be any cadre officers or soldiers fighting there because everything else is mobilized, conscribed, and people, and they're poorly trained. They don't have enough background, and the professional military they're waning. They're really waning in Russia. So 24th of August will be half a year for this war, and that's our Independence Day. It's interesting. So we'll have some results by that day. I think very interesting results. Half a year is definitely a marker. Zaluzhny recently gave a statement that we managed to stabilize the front. This is the grade our top military brass is giving to our efforts on the front. So that's not a light piece of fake news, as the other sides like to battle. So we've been live for almost 40 minutes. Let's leave something for tomorrow. Last piece of information for today. Olexiy mentioned the aprons, and his fans, ladies fans, are getting excited, and look at what we have now in store. At least that's, I think, on the Ukrainian store. I need to remind you that this is a charity merchandising stuff, and it's available in Ukraine, in Germany, and in American markets. You can follow the links below this video and buy something. That's just a list of what we have available. This is already being shipped. It's the whole production line. So the first ones who get it, take pictures, share. We're kind of curious to see how it looks in real life. And we can continue our information work. Hopefully soon we'll get the first payments from the shop, and me and Olexiy will be picking the next candidates for help. I think in Vinnytsia we have some people, and maybe not just one. Indeed. Next week we should be able to start moving some money. All right. Thank you, Olexiy, and talk to you in the next stream. Thank you, and goodbye, Mark.